It's late, it's 10 o'clock on a Friday night, and I'm sitting in pajamas wearing a Star Wars hat backwards in my closet recording about Thomas. Bet your life is way better than mine. Hey there, guys! Welcome back to yet another Thomas and Friends home media review episode. This episode is on Journey Beyond Sodor, the single-handedly most controversial release in Thomas history. I'll go into more detail about that later on in the review and why I think that. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and jump into the history section of Journey Beyond Sodor. Journey Beyond Sodor had a pretty standard release schedule. It was released on August the 8th in the US. That was on all digital platforms. And then it was released on August the 22nd onto physical media. And I remember that clearly because that was the same day that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 came out on Blu-ray. I did a vlog picking those two things up on the same day. And I gotta tell you, Guardians is a better movie in every way, shape, or form. So, pretty short history section, but you guys have come to expect that. Let's go ahead and transition into the close-up section of Journey Beyond Sodor. Alrighty, everybody. Here's your close-up look at Journey Beyond Sodor, the movie. Here we go. We'll start off here at the top. All new movie up there in a rusted metal type bar up here at the top. Two bolts supposedly securing that in. Thomas Friends logo over top of the Journey Beyond Sodor, the movie logo. I love this logo. It looks great. It looks really industrial, which is representative of the Steamworks. Rest of the poster, though, it's okay. You got some pipes and the Steamworks in the background and all that. Clearly a promo image of James just reused. Same with Thomas. I'm pretty sure they just photoshopped his face to make a weird smirk. And then possibly a Photoshop of Frankie from her promo image. I'm not too sure. This poster could have been better. It's a little bit lackluster, but for what it is, it's okay. Aside, hey, Hit Entertainment logo is gone. It is now Mattel Creations. If my camera would focus. There you go. It's now Mattel Creations. I don't know what happened to Hit. I think they're gone. I'm pretty sure it's now just Mattel Creations because I know that Mattel owns Hit Entertainment, so I'm kind of surprised they didn't rename that something after themselves in past years. It just now happened in 2017. Thomas Friends logo again. Journey Beyond Sodor, the movie. It's not just the logo photoshopped on the side. I really like... This is like one of my favorite aspects of this release. I really love the side. That sounds weird to say, but just the way that Journey Beyond Sodor, the movie, is set up and the font and the colors used, it looks like an old Western or something like that. I don't know. I just really like that. That was a really good choice. Portrait of Thomas from the front, DVD logo, and the Universal logo. The back, Thomas Friends logo. True friendship saves the day with the UPC code sticking out underneath it. Blurb about the film. Some screenshots of Thomas and Beresford and James with sheep. Don't remember if that's in the movie or not. I don't think so. And there's the experimental engines. Down there at the bottom. Bonus features 4 sing-along songs, which are just the songs from the film. Landmarks of Sodor traveling to the mainland. And top 5 funniest moments, which is a pretty entertaining little mini movie, I guess you could say. It's fun for what it is. Copyright information down at the bottom. Take off the slip cover here. That's one thing I can say about this. Slip covers are back, finally. That took forever for slip covers to come back. There was actually some effort put into this, but not a lot. Other than the copyright and tech spec stuff down at the bottom, there's not much that's changed. Except for True Friendship Saves the Day is now smaller, and those screenshots, I believe, are... Yeah, they're shrunk down a little bit. Because the experimental image... The experimental engine's image, is shifted up to fit the copyright and tech spec information down at the bottom. Open this up. Look at that. Got a pamphlet in there. There's the disc. just a plain blue background now, which does not match the theme of this at all. If there was ever a chance for Mattel or Universal, whoever makes the choices for how these discs are colored, red would have made perfect sense for this, but it's blue. That stupid. Here's a subscription to the Thomas & Friends magazine if you want to save up to 50% off cover price. Must read verbatim. Hashtag not sponsored. If you'll notice, though, the pamphlet, it's not as big or as tall as the case. I didn't mention this in the history section or the opening section or the opening of this section either, but Journey Beyond Sodor, I believe, was supposed to have a Blu-ray release, but it got canceled. I don't know why it got canceled, but this is part one of my evidence to my theory. This is about the size of a standard Blu-ray case, so I think all the pamphlets were already made and they didn't feel like changing it to fit the DVD case once the Blu-ray release presumably got canceled. But anyway, let's take a look at what's in the pamphlet. Superstation advertisement, Trackmaster, other Thomas Friends DVDs. Look, they're advertising Legend of the Lost Treasure Blu-ray, but it's the same size as all these other DVDs here. Doesn't make any sense. Railway Pals, that creepy as F toy line. Books based on the movie, Thomas Tent. Other products in there. Little Big Club advertisement, Day Out with Thomas Friendship Tour 2017. Follow Thomas Friends on social media, and the minis. Yay, the minis. The minis stink. This we didn't see before. Another minis set, as well as Mega Blocks. That's a weird advertisement. But anyway, yeah, this pamphlet is supposedly was a part of the Blu-ray release before that got canceled. Again, it's only a theory, but there is another part of my theory that I will go ahead and mention here before we move on to the menu tour. The other part of the theory that I have is in a early YouTube upload for Journey Beyond Sodor. You guys know how Mattel does those weird end cards at the end of the videos they put on the Thomas and Friends YouTube channels. This was when the Journey Beyond Sodor trailer first premiered on the Thomas and Friends YouTube channel, and the fandom flipped out because of it, because, oh, they bounce. Basically, at the end card, there was, I believe it was at the top left of the end card, it said, look for Journey Beyond Sodor on Blu-ray and DVD, and it gave its release date. I don't remember it off the top of my head. However, about a few weeks after that, the end card was changed to now only say DVD. Blu-ray was axed completely. Again, supports my theory that more than likely this was supposed to have a Blu-ray release, but I guess the Great Race didn't sell very well on Blu-ray. I don't think Thomas in general sells very well on Blu-ray, but looks amazing, especially to anal retentive assholes like me who are crazy about picture quality, especially considering this picture quality I remember not looking too great. But anyway, that's just my theory that Journey Beyond Sodor was supposed to have a Blu-ray, then it got canceled, and I'm sad about it because The Great Race is the last Thomas Blu-ray, and I wish Journey Beyond Sodor got a Blu-ray release. And apparently there's not even going to be a physical media release of Big World, Big Adventures in the U.S. I don't know how us U.S. fans are supposed to see it. Recently there was a theater recording that surfaced online. Someone went to a theater in, I presume, the UK and just recorded the entire movie on their phone. At the time of this recording, I have not seen Big World, Big Adventures, and there is no physical media release announced here in the US. If this entire segment is outdated by the time this HMR comes out, I apologize, but this is modern day when I'm recording this. It's July when I'm recording this. Just letting you guys know. Transparency. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into the menu tour of Journey Beyond Sodor. Alrighty everyone, here's your menu tour for Journey Beyond Sodor. As you can probably tell, my TV has exponentially increased in size, or you can kind of tell on the camera. It's a little bit difficult, but as you can see, my television is no longer a Samsung. It is now a Toshiba 50-inch 4K Ultra HD television. This thing is gorgeous, it's beautiful, and I love it. So if we zoom out and Go on back up here to where the menu is. Here we go. Quite a shame that I have upgraded to a television this long into HMR's lifespan because of the fact that, well, HMR's almost over. Anyway, our four options down here at the bottom are play, scenes, language, and bonus features. So what are the scenes on this DVD? 1, 2, 4, 3. Scenes 5 through 8, which is just 5, 6, 7, 8. Some kind of dance move breaks out because this is West Side Story, apparently. These menus, these screens here are just incredibly basic. It's just a sky background, and wow, seeing this DVD on a 4K television really shows just how bad this menu looks. I mean, it's horrible. Language selection is also horrible. Just English and Spanish. Not the language selection itself, just the way it looks on screen. It just looks so bad. Oh, I clicked play. Oops. Also, you may also notice by my menu choice, or by how I'm using my remote here, I'm not using my regular Blu-ray player. I'm actually using an Xbox One S to play this because my Blu-ray player doesn't work with this TV for some reason, so I had to upgrade to a 4K Blu-ray player, which the Xbox One S is a 4K Blu-ray player, and it's totally fine using a game controller to control my movements throughout the menu here. Here are the 4 sing-along songs that are present throughout the special, except we're missing one. We actually don't have a music video for Somebody Has to Be the Favorite, which is the song at the beginning that both James and Thomas sing. Landmarks of Sodor. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys kind of a preview of what the... Actually, you guys know what the Landmarks of Sodor segments are. I'll give you guys a preview of the top 5 funniest moments. Hey guys, modern day Lego Lover coming at you with a bit of an announcement. Yeah, I know I said I was going to give you a preview of the top 5 funniest moments, but I can't because I tried to upload this video to YouTube. It wouldn't let me monetize it because Mattel said, yeet, that footage is ours, even though I'm using it for fair use, using it for critique. But YouTube wouldn't let me dispute the claim, so I've had to cut out all footage from the top 5 funniest moments. I'll just explain what that is. It's basically a clip show. It's 2 British guys going through top 5 funniest moments of Thomas and Friends. It's pretty funny. If you have the Journey Beyond Sodor DVD, I'd suggest checking it out and watching it. So sorry for this little interruption, and now back to regularly scheduled programming. It's better than nothing. I'm gonna be for real. Especially with, just the sing-along songs and then Landmarks of Sodor, which Landmarks of Sodor is a cool thing, but, could we get some other bonus content that we can't see on the regular Thomas and Friends YouTube channel? Anyway, that's the menu tour for Journey Beyond Sodor. Let's go ahead and head on back and answer the 5 main questions, as always. Alright, so we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions, as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? You honestly can't find this in stores anymore. It hasn't, at least I have not seen this on store shelves in months. I saw a few copies lingering around at one of not really my local Targets. I mean, it's by it's by the UPS port, but that's not close to my house, so it's not local. But I would say online retailers is your best bet. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? No, it is not. Number 3, should you pick this product up? I'm going to start by talking about a positive memory I have with Journey Beyond Sodor before I get into my review of it. I remember coming home one day from work. This was around the time I had started at UPS, was when Journey Beyond Sodor came out. Yeah, I started at UPS a year ago. Time flies. I came home, I found a full upload of it on YouTube, and I cast it on my old Samsung 32-inch television that's no longer on my wall. Wow, times have changed. I'm just sitting here cataloging all the changes that have gone on in my life. Like, I was getting ready to start senior year, and like a lover goes on a reflection of how his life has changed in the last year. But anyway, I sat down and I watched the movie, and I gotta say, I had a pretty positive experience. I tried to block out all the negative emotions towards it, people just irrationally hating on it, and to be honest, I had a pretty good experience watching it the first time. I did rewatch it a second time a few days later, and I had a pretty positive experience too. I've not rewatched it since. This was my 3rd time watching it for this review. My feelings have changed drastically, and I can't really give you a specific reason why.
There are just some things in this movie that irritated the piss out of me while I was watching it. One of which was the absolutely useless subplot of the experimental engines. This could have all been cut. You could have streamlined this story down to maybe a 2-part episode. It didn't need to be a special. And like I said, the experimental engines, they're ultimately pointless. They serve no purpose to this plot except to cause some shenanigans in the steelworks towards the end of the movie, and then miraculously, oh yeah, we work here now, because that makes sense. And even at that, I don't hate the experimental engine characters. I don't hate Merlin. I think his voice actor, Hugh Bonneville, aside from the fact that he has the same name as the model of my current car that I drive, he gave an excellent performance. I just don't think Merlin has a place in this story. Theo I don't really care for. They don't really do much with him, but Lexi, I flat out hate Lexi. I don't remember what I said about Lexi in my previous review, but anything I said about her that was positive, erase that from your memory. Lexi is awful. Every time she comes on screen, just her stupid voice changes that, God, she has no logic to what she's saying. Her entire character is useless. She infuriated me. And same goes for the character of Beresford. Beresford is ultimately more pointless than any of the extraordinary engine characters. Any of the experimental engine characters. For the life of me, I can't understand why Beresford is in this movie. Is it just because they wanted to sing a song about who was Thomas? I can understand if they wanted to sing a song about who was Thomas if they wanted to build upon Thomas's character. But we don't learn anything new about Thomas through that song. So what's the point? You just stop the storyline for 3.5 minutes to sing a pointless song to introduce a pointless character that you're not even going to give merchandise. It doesn't make any sense. And on top of that, Beresford's an idiot. Beresford is so stupid. I wouldn't even bring up the fact about the logic issues of how Beresford can pick up Thomas by his cab and Thomas just miraculously weighs no more than a feather. Thomas is a giant several tons steam engine. That cannot happen. I can suspend my disbelief to an extent, okay? I like the last few Fast and Furious films, okay? And those are stupid as hell. But I enjoy those. But this, I cannot go with this. I cannot go with the fact that Beresford can pick up Thomas by his cab and Beresford doesn't fall over without the proper, securing chains or whatever. It would be needed to lift up Thomas in a realistic manner. And on top of that, Thomas doesn't weigh any more than a feather in the steelworks either when he's over top of the molten steel pit. A bucket knocks him out of the way. I keep wanting to curse. I keep wanting to say phallic and expletives that I shouldn't say on the show. But it's so f***ing stupid. A bucket knocks Thomas out of the way, and Thomas weighs literally nothing, and he can somehow control his own wheels as he lands on some machinery on the side of the f***ing steelworks. I know I've made fun of people in the past for having these thoughts about the logic issues in the show, but I'm finally coming around to their side because watching it now, it made my brain hurt. Just seeing that a several-ton steam engine can be knocked out of the way from falling to its death by a bucket that's barely any bigger than him. That bucket would have maybe dented Thomas's boiler. Maybe. For some reason, that just irritated me. Now, before I go into more negatives, I'll say some positives about this film. I think its storyline is pretty okay. It's not great. It involves Thomas way too much than it should. You know, this actually wasn't the OG storyline. If I remember correctly, there was a summary that was put out before Journey Beyond Sodor had any footage put out for it, before there was even a trailer. And it said that James was the one that was going to be trapped on the mainland, and Thomas was going to have to go save him. However, in the final product, it's Thomas that gets stuck on the mainland, Thomas escapes, then James gets stuck on the mainland for 10 minutes, and then Thomas goes back to rescue him. That's not what the summary told us. So either the plot changed, or someone just saw the last 10 minutes of the movie and said, duh, that's the whole plot, right? I enjoy the Steelworks set. I think that is a beautiful, beautiful location. And I wish it was explored more. I wish we spent the majority of the film there. I really enjoy the characters of Hurricane and Frankie. They are built up. to be some of the most interesting villains in the Thomas and Friends franchise, because I don't think that Hurricane thinks he's doing anything bad. I mean, I think Frankie knows she's doing something bad by keeping Thomas there, but I don't know, there's a point where Hurricane seems to be kind of whipped around by Frankie when they're at the water tower and Frankie screams at Hurricane to take some cars to some yard, and Hurricane kind of speeds off and is like, bye, Thomas. He's like kind of nervous. I thought that was an interesting plot thread. Maybe they could have picked up on that. But no. Which brings me to the ending. The ending of this movie is terrible. The way it wraps up is completely idiotic. Aside from the fact that Thomas weighs literally nothing. So Hurricane pushes Thomas out of the way of Molten Steel, which is honorable, and it makes Hurricane kind of a sympathetic character. His wheels start melting. Merlin pushes Hurricane out of the Molten Steel. Frankie just starts crying because everyone's going to leave. And then happy ending. That's the end. Frankie cries. Engines sing a song about being friends. That's the end. What? What? I honestly can't express in words how much I hate this ending. If you saw the night that I watched this, which was a few months ago, I was live tweeting some of the points in the movie that I just found atrocious. One of them was the ending. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I said something along the lines of the ending sucks balls. I'm not even going to go into the fact that it's unrealistic that Frankie should just ultimately be redeemed. She should just, she cried, so that means she should, play the victim card, basically. I don't even know how to explain it. Just, Frankie cried, so that she should be forgiven, and all is well, and we're going to work at the Steelworks now. Because we had absolutely no purpose. This is the experimental engines talking, by the way. Yeah, we're going to work at the Steelworks now because, what was our purpose again? It just, wow. Like, my opinion on Journey Beyond Sodor has changed dramatically. I have no idea if that's due to the fact that I've grown in the last year and that I see cracks in the story that I didn't see previously that I just chose to ignore. Or maybe it's due to the fact that there's been such a negative reaction to it in the last couple of months since its release. I mean, it's been a full year since it came out, and there's just been so much negativity thrown at it. I had friends who made a whole fan film about how they thought Journey Beyond Sodor should be. That's how much people did not like this. I don't know if it's because of that negative impact that I just do not like this movie very much anymore. I'm sorry to say that, but I don't. I didn't find this entertaining at all. My feeling about this is the same feeling I have with Tale of the Brave. If you remember, I didn't recommend Tale of the Brave because, one, I didn't find it entertaining, and two, rewatchings hurt it because I notice more problems every time. I feel like that's the same way with Journey Beyond Sodor. The more times I watch it, the more I'm going to hate it because the humor just isn't funny anymore. It's grown stale, which is kind of surprising because this is only the third time I've seen it and the humor's already stale. It doesn't make any sense. Its plot is so convoluted and stupid. I have to flip the arrow here. I gave quote unquote a green arrow to Journey Beyond Sodor in my movie review from a year ago, but I'm flipping the arrow, guys. Red. You shouldn't watch Journey Beyond Sodor, and that sucks. That really sucks because I wanted to recommend this movie. I wanted to go back to it and say, oh, it's not as bad as people say it is. I don't think it's bad for all the logical reasons. Like a lot of Railway series fans will say it's bad for the bouncing and all that stuff. Its story is incredibly convoluted. Its characters don't make any sense. Their actions do not make sense within the story. And the pointless music videos and all that stuff doesn't make for a coherent or an entertaining experience. This movie stinks. Now, I don't hate Journey Beyond Sodor with a passion. To be honest, I'll probably never watch it again after this. But I don't hate it. It's in that camp with Tale of the Brave for me. Tale of the Brave, I think, is the worst, new special. Journey Beyond Sodor, I feel, is maybe a niche above it. I don't know. They're kind of on the same playing field. They both have flaws that I see every time I watch them. And they're not entertaining to me. Not anymore, at least. I wanted to talk a little bit about the cultural impact Journey Beyond Sodor had on the Thomas and Friends fandom. Even from that first trailer that dropped, and I think it was May that it dropped. I was just finishing up my junior year of high school, I believe. And I remember I was sitting in my car, getting ready to leave school for the day, and the Skype group was blowing up because the Journey Beyond Sodor trailer had dropped. And I was like, holy crap, what happened in it? It must have been it must have been something really awesome. But I see everybody going nuts about the engines bounce. Engines bounce. Engines bounce. The engines can't bounce. I have not spoken about the bouncing in my previous section of this review because it doesn't bother me. Sure, engines bounce. In my opinion, it was bound to happen at some point. Honestly, when you have CG animation, you want your characters to move as much as possible. I hate the fact that some folks bring up the argument that, well, the engines never bounced in the classic series because those were actual models and they didn't have the ability to bounce. They couldn't make them bounce if they wanted to. Sorry to break that to you. Looking back on the impact, Journey Beyond Sodor created a rift in the Thomas and Friends community. I equate it to the community's The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi did the exact same thing Journey Beyond Sodor did for us. The Last Jedi split the Star Wars fandom in two. You had the side that loved it and you had the side that hated it. And both sides are just constantly at war with each other. I find that that's the same way with Journey Beyond Sodor. Maybe not so much now because it's kind of fallen into obscurity, what with Big World, Big Adventures coming out. Wow, back then you had the people that loved it, you had the people that hated it, just constant warring and fighting and all this stuff. Just people couldn't take other people's opinions or someone was insulting this other person. And I'll admit, I'm not saying that I don't have skeletons in my closet because of this. I admit that I was a Journey Beyond Sodor lover, and I would fight nail and teeth anybody who said that it was bad just because of the bouncing. I would rip that person to shreds, and I'm not proud of that because that's not the way you should act about something that you like. You should have a calm, civilized debate and not just grouse about it on Twitter like I did. Don't be like me back then. Don't be like me. I know it was only a year ago, but don't be like me. I mean, this movie created a rift in my own Skype group. We had basically what was equivalent to a Captain America Civil War situation where you had one side that loved it and one side that hated it. And it was kind of awkward whenever the two sides would get into a call with each other and someone would bring up Journey Beyond Sodor. No one just really wanted to talk about it because it would just turn into a fight. There were times on Skype when I got really worried about the future of the group because we just couldn't agree on anything. We just kept fighting each other. And I'll admit, I didn't try to stop it. I was fighting for the lovers. I was fighting against the haters, and the haters were fighting against the lovers. And that's not the way we should have gone about it. That's not the way the entire fandom should have gone about it. We shouldn't have had two sides. We should have just said, hey, you like it, that's fine. You hate it, that's fine too. Respect each other's opinions. Contrary to popular belief, we can disagree peacefully. It's not a dead art. But that's just my observation about what Journey Beyond Sodor did to the Thomas community. I'm not saying it was fully united beforehand, but this movie really shoved the knife into that wound just a little bit more and just split the fandom apart just a little bit more. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Same answers as number 1. Number 5, what price should you pay? I honestly don't know. This is a perplexing question. Considering the fact that, well, I don't think Journey Beyond Sodor sold very well. There's probably not a lot of copies on the secondary market. You probably can't find one with a slipcover nowadays. I don't know, 10 to 15 maybe? This is honestly one of the hardest question 5s I've ever had to answer. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the HMR on Journey Beyond Sodor. Again, I did not want to hate this. I went into it wanting to recapture that fun time I had a year ago when I watched it for the first time, but I just couldn't do it. I forgot to mention this though. Hottest Place in Town? One of the best Thomas songs ever. So catchy. Great song. If you've kept up with the timeline any, you know that we only have 2 regular releases for the US left. Christmas on Sodor and Thomas's Holiday Collection. So what are we going to do about this? I'm thinking of that scene from Iron Man where Pepper Potts is in Obadiah Stane's office and she's looking on his computer, like downloading all those files onto the hard drive and trying to see what Obadiah's been up to. And lo and behold, Obadiah is standing at the doorway and he says, "So, what are we going to do about all this?" My exact feelings about going forward with this series. But don't worry. Don't you worry. My plans will be revealed next week in an update video. I hope you guys are excited because my future plans, I think you're going to enjoy it. At least I hope so. Check out that video next Monday. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, good night, everybody.